affects everyone. Obviously, mass incarceration has the most significant effect on communities of color and minority groups and people without money, because those are the folks we lock up. But mass incarceration means that the country's basically given up on ideals of inclusion and ideals of democracy in a very fundamental way, social justice, and so it affects really the whole country. So if you're a child who lives in a neighborhood where a lot of people are going to prison, you're a child who lives in a neighborhood where all these adults earn less money as a result of being incarcerated.
Yeah.
If you live in a neighborhood where so many adults have prison records, they have less money to work with, that neighborhood has less money traveling around being spent on things. So when you're a child growing up in an incarceration neighborhood, by that I mean a neighborhood where a lot of people are going in and out of prisons, you're a child growing up in a neighborhood that already started out poor, but is made more poor by the fact that everybody's been to prison. So in a very real way, you can say that all those children of all those people going in and out of the prison system are victims of mass incarceration. From research about health and about healthcare, for example, we know that women who live in neighborhoods that have high incarceration rates are more likely to get sexually transmitted diseases, AIDS, syphilis, gonorrhea, and the reason is that there is an imbalance between the number of young men available to be partners and the number of women looking for partners, and this that imbalance leads to it makes so that stable relationships are harder to maintain. And so, in a very real sense, women who find themselves the childbearing ages, who grow up in neighborhoods where a lot of the men are cycling, who live in neighborhoods where a lot of men are cycling in and out of the prison system, these women are themselves victims of the mass incarceration. And the list goes on and on. We've done studies to find that young men who grow up in neighborhoods with high incarceration, where there are high incarceration rates, where a lot of people are going in and out of the prison system, these young men have more negative attitudes toward the government. They have more negative attitudes toward the legitimacy of the law. So what we know is that they become less prone to being effective citizens. And part of that is a response to their experience of living in neighborhoods where there are very high incarceration rates. So the number of different aspects of a civil society and of families and friendships and interpersonal relationships and the economy and the political economy that are affected by mass incarceration. The number of those different areas is very large, and this is a change that has been going on for 30 years. This is one of those places where the answer is so surprisingly simple. Prison populations are entirely produced by two numbers: how many people go in and how long they stay. In the United States, we've had growing prison populations for the last 15 years, even though crime rates have been dropping. And the prison population has been growing even when crime rates have been dropping, because the proportion of people going in who are convicted of a felony has been increasing, and their length of stay has been increasing. That means that, said another way, we have been filling the prison system by policies about how many people we put there and how long we keep them there. Those policies can be changed. If we went back to the sentencing practices of 1980, within about 8 years, we would have the prison population of 1980. So it's entirely within our control. We can actually produce really whatever prison population we want, but we certainly can produce a prison population that is much smaller than the one we have today. But we can only do that by affecting those two numbers. This is important because a lot of people talk about other kinds of ideas. They talk about recidivism rates. Well, recidivism rates are important because recycling into the prison system is one of the ways you get large numbers of people going to prison. But to be able to work on a recidivism rate, you have to go to prison in the first place. So you're already dealing with the part of the problem that you have been ignoring, which is the number of people who go in. So also a lot of people talk about treatment programs, and I am a deep and sincere believer in treatment programs. We are both morally obligated and practically obligated to provide opportunities for people who are going to prison to change their lives. But to get a treatment program in prison, you have to go there. And so one of those two numbers that determines large prison populations isn't effective. So the answer to the question, how do we take on mass incarceration, is not a lot of the things that we spend our time talking about, but it's much more simple. It is we change the rate at which we send people to prison, and we change the length of time they spend there. Just for example, in 1972, 3/4 of the people convicted of a felony got probation sentences. One fourth went to prison. And the average length of stay was 15 months. The median length of stay was about 15 months. Today, 3/4 of the people go to prison, convicted of a felony. One quarter get probation, and half of those get jail as a condition of probation. And the median length of stay is 30 months. That's why we have large prison populations today. Even though the crime rate today is about what it was in 1972.